guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. So my good buddy John Sekulo strikes again, as he has just recently sent me some more figures that I was having a kind of a hard time getting a hold of here in my local area. And these would be the Snap Squad figures that you could probably already see here. So I do want to say a huge thank you to John Sekulo, as always, looking out for me and helping me acquire certain figures whenever he stumbles upon them. So absolutely awesome of him, as always. Thank you so much to John Sekulo for sending these over for us. Now, on to the figures. This would be the Camp Cretaceous Snap Squad set of the, I guess you could say, the first wave of these figures, since they are a new brand of Camp Cretaceous. But you can see we have 4 different figures included. We have the Carnotaurus, which would be Toro. We also have Bumpy, the baby Ankylosaurus. We have a Triceratops. And we also have the Mosasaurus. So 4 really cool looking Snap Squad figures. However, all 4 for some reason have that metallic appearance. I don't really know why. I feel like they could have released the Mosasaurus maybe with an alternate paint scheme, and the Carnotaurus having that now Toro type of a look with the scar and everything would have been good enough without using the metallic look. And again, Bumpy I feel like would have been fine without the metallic look. Same with this Triceratops, because we haven't had the Triceratops Snap Squad in the past. But for some reason we chose to give them all this kind of metallic look, which does look really cool, I will say that. But personally, I think I would have preferred them without it. But again, each figure definitely is really nice looking here at first glance. So we're going to go ahead and break these guys out of the packaging, and then we're going to go ahead and get a closer look at them right now. So we will start with the 2 that we've actually reviewed in the past, because these ones just have new paintwork to them, as opposed to new sculpts that we haven't seen before. The Carnotaurus as a whole is really nicely sculpted, and probably one of my favorite Snap Squad figures overall. Of course, I'm a little biased due to loving Carnotaurus, but for this version, again, we have a bit of a metallic look to it. We also have some very nice dark paint that runs up along the back, all the way down onto the back of the dinosaur, but along the back of the head as well, and it kind of leaks down in certain areas and has like a very dark, kind of a brownish type of a coloration for the primary body, as well as a really nice painted kind of a grayish lower jaw there. And we have very nicely painted eyes with a green. And then once we come over to this side of our Carnotaurus Toro, you can see now that trademark scar that we already know is something that should be on the Carnotaurus in the Netflix series. When that does finally arrive, we will all have that chance to see. But along the underside, we also have that kind of grayish coloration that we have up there on the lower jaw. And again, the paintwork is really nicely done. It's nothing over the top, but the Snap Squad figures never really are. Once we open the mouth, we have a beautiful appearance to the inside of the mouth, really nicely painted, very nicely sculpted as well, of course. The inside of the mouth has that really nice textured tongue to it, like all of these Snap Squads seem to have. The teeth look to be painted really well. Maybe a slight bit of sloppiness to the upper jaw there as far as the teeth go, but not too much. It's just that it looks like maybe the paint was a little bit too thick, but actually looking at it here, it really does actually look really quite nice. Just a tiny bit over here. The teeth on the lower jaw are pretty much perfect as far as I can see. So very nicely done as far as the Carnotaurus goes, and it's really cool now to have another version of our Toro Carnotaurus to match the larger version. As far as the Mosasaurus goes, this one I think probably looks the coolest with this metallic look, just because it works pretty well for a marine animal. But you can see that it has a very nice dark blue up here on the head that runs down onto the back, and then a really nice light blue here. We have a very nicely painted eye. There's no sloppiness to the eyes of pretty much any of the Snap Squads that I can recall. They always get those eyes painted perfectly. And again, the metallic look to the paint does actually look really quite nice on the Mosasaurus. And you can see the lower jaw has like a white that runs down here onto the stomach. Again, having that extremely realistic appearance as far as the way you would see something like this colored with like a lighter underbelly and a darker upper side. So I think the paintwork is pretty much nicely done, pretty spot on to what you would probably see on a Mosasaurus. You can see on the inside of the mouth there that the teeth on the upper jaw are actually sculpted out in there, but they are not painted. But the other teeth are painted quite nicely, and you can see that the inside of the mouth also sports quite a nice realistic coloration in there. Beautifully textured tongue once again. Very nice gloss coat as well added to the mouths of all of the Snap Squads to always make sure that they look quite realistic. So this is another figure that we have actually looked at in the past, and we just pretty much needed to check out what is new with the figure, but another very nice Snap Squad. Now, we are finally getting herbivores in the Snap Squad line. This is the Triceratops, and you can see that the Triceratops actually sports some really beautiful sculpt work here on the head. I really like those nice large scales that run up along the frill of the Triceratops, and there's so many, again, different varying sizes of scales. It's always impressive to me the amount of work that Mattel puts into their sculpts, even for something as silly and kind of goofy as like a Snap Squad figure. They still give you a ton of very realistic detail, so there's just no laziness as far as the sculpting of their figures goes, and that is definitely something that I really do like about the Mattel line. Very nicely sculpted out horns up here on the Triceratops, same deal for around the frill of our Triceratops, and beautifully sculpted out beak, and I love that they've given them a nice grayish coloration. I think that dark gray plays off of the green really well and definitely was very nice as far as the color choices go. The eyes, once again, painted really nicely on this figure as well. There doesn't appear to be any sloppiness in that aspect. They are pretty much perfectly placed. If we look at the underside, we have a bit of a lighter green down here, so that is also really cool to see some more color variation added. The legs are sculpted quite nicely. You can see some very nice detail, even like some osteoderms kind of poking up here and there on the legs a little bit. Some very nice scale work included as well, even including some nice muscle tone here on the leg of the Triceratops. We can see that the rear of the frill is also really beautifully sculpted. Very nice scale work in there as well. Very impressive overall. And the scales that run along the back of our Triceratops look beautiful. Again, the metallic appearance to the figures almost shines some of the detail away with the light, but I'm hoping you guys are getting a pretty good idea of how nicely sculpted they are. And we come out here to the very nice, adorable little Snap Squad Triceratops tail. You can also see that it's kind of speckled with like some black spots. We know Mattel does tend to like to put those little spots on their figures, which I actually do quite like because I think it gives it some very nice color variation. When we don't have too much paint to begin with, we do at least have those black spots to add a little bit to them. But it does look quite nice. Very nice looking Snap Squad Triceratops. Once we actually open the mouth, you can now see the inside of the mouth here is really nicely done. Of course, he does kind of have those sort of carnivore-like teeth, which is not that big of a deal, I guess, when the point of these figures is that they would bite, and you can see that even the herbivores hang on really, really well. They have a lot of force to their jaw, but not enough that it would actually hurt or anything. That's actually perfect the way they work. But you can see that the inside of the mouth looks really nicely done. Beautiful kind of skin flap there. Very nice textured tongue, and the coloration is beautiful as well. Very nice gloss coat on the inside of the mouth. So definitely a really, really cool Triceratops figure, and I am super excited now to have some herbivores in the Snap Squad line. And speaking of herbivores, we also have Bumpy the Ankylosaurus, which we have not actually seen yet in action on film or anything because the show hasn't hit Netflix quite yet, but I am quite excited because this figure is adorable for sure. You can see that the sculpt, even on the Snap Squad version, is incredibly nicely done. The detailing overall looks really, really good. Even the armored area of the Ankylosaurus up here on the top looks very nice. You have like a goldish coloration for the spikes here on the head as well as the spikes down here and kind of the spikes that run along the back, the armored area of the Ankylosaurus, and it's also given a very nice bluish coloration, which the back actually looks like it's a bit of a darker blue than what we see up here on the head. The head looks like a little bit of a lighter blue, and the body itself is like a very nice yellowish brown coloration, and it does look really cool with all this variation of color included. I really do like that there's so much color variation on Bumpy. You have a nice kind of metallic gray tail here as well, that club tail that we always see on Ankylosaurus, and you can see some really nice scales here on the side of the legs of Bumpy, as well as again some more very nice muscle tone, and you can pick up on kind of those same spots like we had seen on the Triceratops, but this one has like brownish spots it looks like. The beak is also painted with a nice dark gray, just like we had seen on the Triceratops. The eyes are painted with a brown, very nicely painted. Again, there's no sloppiness on either eye, and the pupil is absolutely huge on Bumpy in comparison to the others, giving this a very baby-like appearance, but also a really adorable appearance. The underside doesn't really have any other type of paint, aside from what you see with that kind of yellowish brown, but it looks really nice as far as the detailing goes. You can see some very nice skin texture the whole way through. Very beautiful detailing here of the lower jaw. And then, of course, once we pull the mouth open, we can now see what the inside of Bumpy's mouth looks like. You've got some more of those really nicely sculpted out teeth. I like that there's just a little bit of teeth here, not too much. We don't run them out into the beak area or anything. And Bumpy can also hang really nicely there on your finger, just like all of these figures really can do. Beautiful coloration for the inside of the mouth. Really nice textured tongue once again. So yeah, awesome figure. And just like the Triceratops, if I don't drop it again, having some herbivores in the Snap Squad line is definitely really awesome. As far as a size goes on our Snap Squad figures for Bumpy, we're looking at about 3 3/4 inches or about 8 centimeters in length, and about probably, I'd say about 1 1/4 inches high or about 4.5 centimeters for the Triceratops. And they're all in a very similar size range. But for the Triceratops, about 3 1/4 inches, somewhere actually closer to 3.5 inches, but not quite, or about 8.5 centimeters. And then for a height, about 2 1/4 inches, maybe a little more, or around 5.5, 6 centimeters. For Toro the Carnotaurus, you are looking at about 3 inches or 8 centimeters for a length, and about 2 1/4 inches or around the 5.5, 6 centimeter range for a height. And for the Mosasaurus, which will definitely be the shortest of the bunch, you are looking actually at about 2 3/4 inches or close to that point, or about 9.5 centimeters for a length, and then about 1 3/4 inches for a height, maybe even a little less, or about 4.5, maybe close to 5 centimeters for a height on the Mosasaurus. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to these little Snap Squads here. And Muldoon kind of looks like a mother standing over his children here as he leers at them for acting up. But hopefully you have a good idea of what the size of these figures are. If you don't have any Snap Squads previously, they are pretty small, but they are also at least somewhat decent sized. They're not mini-sized or anything like that. So hopefully this will help to give you an idea if you don't have any Snap Squads already. Then as far as articulation goes, pretty much every figure has the same articulation. You have the articulated tail. All 4 legs move. They kind of dangle, so then when you are hanging them from your finger, they have that kind of cute dangly look. And then you also have the articulation in the jaw. And again, each figure has that same articulation. The mouth, this one would be fins as opposed to legs. And then the tail, same deal with the Carnotaurus, the arms, legs, tail, mouth. So pretty much all the same as far as the articulation goes. Mouth, legs, tail. Same deal for all. Poor Bumpy right in his face. And again, so same deal for all 4 of the Snap Squads. Actually, every Snap Squad figure so far, I believe, has all had that same style of articulation. So these Snap Squads are, again, some more really cool figures. Again, all 4 of these figures are awesome. The 2 I've previously reviewed would be the Carnotaurus and the Mosasaurus. There was no real additions to these other than new paintwork, but I feel like the paintwork on both, it does look really quite cool. The metallic look, of course, looks a little better on the Mosasaurus as opposed to the Carnotaurus, but the Carnotaurus also does look really quite nice, and having that Carnotaurus Toro look now, giving it a different variation of color compared to the last one, is definitely a really cool addition to the figure, and I was quite psyched to have a Toro Snap Squad now included in the Mattel line. But the Mosasaurus and the coloration on that is really beautiful. I actually am quite a huge fan of that Mosasaurus. I think I like this version potentially a little better than the previous version. The other 2 that I have not reviewed previously until now would be the Ankylosaurus, Bumpy, and the Triceratops, because previously we haven't had any herbivores in the line, so I am super excited now to have some herbivores. And honestly, I think they're just as awesome as the carnivores that we have had so far leading up to this point. The Triceratops is beautiful as far as the sculpt work goes. I think it actually might be one of my favorites so far as the actual sculpt goes and the detailing and the paint applied. I wish it wouldn't have been the metallic look, and hopefully at some point in the future they will re-release the Triceratops without the metallic look and just kind of keep this whole line, I guess maybe the Camp Cretaceous line, with this metallic appearance. I don't know exactly, but again, I do hope for a re-release of the Triceratops at some point without the metallic look, but I still think the paint included does look pretty nice, and the actual sculpting is quite awesome on that Triceratops. And Bumpy, of course, seems to look exactly how Bumpy is supposed to look, I assume, from the upcoming Netflix show. The sculpting of Bumpy does look really, really nice, absolutely beautiful as always when it comes to pretty much any Mattel figure, and the paintwork on Bumpy also looks really good. There is quite a bit of paint variation on that one as opposed to some of the other Snap Squads, which is really cool to see. It seems like Bumpy's kind of getting a little bit better treatment than some when it comes to paintwork on the figure, and I think it all looks really, really good here on this Snap Squad version. So these Snap Squads are absolutely awesome. Really cool kind of a action feature with the ability to snap and bite and hold on to your fingers and everything, or whatever you decide to put them on. I think the overall appeal factor is pretty much off the charts as far as how adorable these figures go, but they are also really nicely sculpted and really nicely painted as far as the overall appearance to them goes. So definitely some more really cool figures from Mattel. Awesome Snap Squads now with this newest wave, the Camp Cretaceous wave. So make sure you head to your local Target. They should probably be there, if not now, very soon. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.